Is there anything wrong with a former president leaving his country to spend his retirement in another country? The answer is obviously no. However, when the former president leaves just few hours after the inauguration of his successor, the thought that something is fishy is inevitable, and it is exactly what the former president of Senegal, Macky Sall, did. In a very beautiful ceremony, presidential candidate Diomaye Faye, who won the Senegalese presidential election by a landslide, was inaugurated as the new president of Senegal on April 2, 2024. At the ceremony was present a dozen heads of states and regional representatives, including Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo, Nigeria's President Bola, African Union Commission Chairman Moussa, Faki, Mahamat, and representatives from the military government of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. During the inauguration ceremony, which Diomaye Faye attended with his two wives, he stated that the results of the election showed a strong desire for change, and from now on, Senegal will be a country of hope, at peace, with an independent justice system and a stronger democracy. The ceremony was hopeful and beautiful. But our focus is on the former president, President Macky Sall. So, days before President Diomaye Faye's inauguration ceremony, the press release stated that Sall intends to spend his retirement out of the country, which, as we earlier mentioned, is not a bad thing. However, just a few hours after the inauguration ceremony, Macky Sall, who undoubtedly has been preparing for it, left the country. Presently, the final destination of Sall's flight has not been revealed, but based on some reports, it is possible that Sall has fled to France. The question is, why is he in a hurry? What or who is he running away from? Well, to get the answer to these questions correctly, we have to go back to the beginning. When Macky Sall was initially elected as President of Senegal in 2012, during his inauguration, Sall assured the Senegalese people that a new regime of governance had begun in Senegal with his presidential victory. He said he would address the consolidation of power in the presidency by ensuring a more democratic system, while also tackling issues of equity and social justice. One of the central commitments to his campaign was that he would reduce presidential terms from 7 years down to 5 years, reversing the increase that his predecessor Wade had implemented. During his first term, Sall focused on infrastructural development both in rural and urban areas. He secured $7.5 billion in funding for an ambitious economic development program called Emergent Senegal, which was designed to transform the economy by 2035 through investment in agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure. In fact, Sall has seemingly advanced national development. However, if the investments and infrastructures put in place are of no benefit to the people, then it is considered a waste of resources. Sall may have committed to infrastructural development, but the fact remains that proper mechanisms were not established to ensure that the benefit is received by the people. Most often, developmental projects encountered difficulties because some officials who were put in charge based on party affiliation and not competence were rather focused on personal gains than good governance. Then came 2019, when Sall was re-elected for his second term. It was during this period of time that his popularity among the Senegalese people began to increasingly drop, undoubtedly because another leader was around the horizon. Opposition leader, Ousmane Sonko. Sonko, a former tax collector and mayor of Ziguinchor, gained popularity among the Senegalese people as an opposition politician who stood against the system and was ready to challenge Sall's relationship with former colonial master, France, and with foreign companies operating in extraction industries. Noticing that another leader had won the hearts of the people, Sall began to hatch several plots to prevent Sonko from standing in the elections. In 2021, Sonko was arrested based on rape accusations which after much investigation was later proved to be false. In 2023, Sonko was again accused of libel against the minister, a charge that eventually saw him disqualified from running in the presidential election. It was during this period that Sonko was arrested, few weeks after Faye was also arrested. The Senegalese people were angered by these moves by Sall, leading to protests and riots. A majority of hundreds of thousands of people who protested against Sonko's detention were young people who were angry at the high unemployment rate and the high cost of surviving in the country. But Sall did not even stop there. He also went ahead to dismiss the political party of Sonko, PASTEF, and contemplated running for another term during the 2024 Senegal presidential election. In February 2024, when the presidential election was officially scheduled to be organized, Sall made an announcement that threatened to damage the stability of the democracy in Senegal. He announced that elections would be postponed until December 2024, given a very inconsiderate reason for his decision, stating that the postponement was necessary to investigate allegations of corruption among aspiring presidential candidates. However, the Senegalese people did not agree to this, calling it a constitutional coup, with some people believing that it was a plot to either prepare himself to run for another term or to ensure that Amadou Ba, a candidate from his party, wins the election. As a result of pressure from the people as well as foreign observers, the Constitutional Court eventually ruled that it was illegal to postpone the election, thereby leading the government to announce that the election would take place in March 2024. This was how the election was at last conducted and Diomaye Faye emerged winner of the election. However, former President Macky Sall knew that he had made a lot of errors by cracking down on opposition parties, the media, and financial scandals attached to his government, which the new government would make him answer for. So guess what he decided to do? Few days before the election, it was reported that former President Macky Sall submitted a draft law to Parliament that allows for a general amnesty for acts related to political unrest from 2021 to 2024. A period during his tenure that includes the chaos and violence caused by his postponement of elections. According to Sall, the amnesty was necessary to bring reconciliation to the country. But the truth is, that is just a cover, because if you closely check the legislation, you will notice that it absolves all those involved in the political strife, including himself, of any criminal liability. A move that Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International said opens doors to impunity for everyone involved in a violent repression of protests. In simple terms, Macky Sall was just making sure that anything that tied him to crime, related to his crackdown on the opposition parties, was taken care of. From his reaction, we can detect that fleeing the country to France was another way for him to cover his base. The fact remains that new government would most definitely investigate Sall's administration, and they are very certain to find things that will implicate him. Fleeing to another country is simply to ensure that even if he is found guilty and tried in absentia, he would still be enjoying himself in another country. The only thing is, he would not be able to set foot in Senegal again. The only thing we can say about a man like Macky Sall is good riddance. After 12 years in power, Macky Sall left Senegal with the challenge of youth unemployment, which is a pressing issue for the country's rapidly increasing population, and a feeling among the republic that the economy has been mismanaged. According to the International Labour Organization, in 2019, 60% of the population in Senegal are under 25, but about 35% of them are unemployed. About half of the country's 17 million people are living in poverty, and it was during Sall's term that migration to Europe increased by a significant amount. Sall's administration has certainly left a lot of work for President Diomaye Faye and Ousmane Sonko, who was the Prime Minister. Hopefully this duo is up to the task, because the people of Senegal are waiting impatiently to start reaping the benefits of electing Faye as President of Senegal. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video.